So what I'm going to show you is how you can go ahead and get started using a standalone Conda environment with ArcGIS Pro 2.7. Specifically, we are going to look at how you can use an environment.yml or YAML file to be able to get this to where it's very reproducible, and you can even share this environment with somebody else, or if you take it even a step farther, you can even use it as a template for a lot of your projects. So to get started, I've actually stubbed out an environment YAML file, and we can take a look at this. And if you notice, what we have in here is fairly straightforward. We have ArcGIS, then we have is the name of the environment. This happens to be my convention. There's nothing really special about it other than it's my Python Conda environment that I call ArcGIS. At a minimum, the channels you need to include is the Esri channel. It's probably beneficial if you start adding other stuff in here to add a few other channels. A couple that I usually have in here is Conda, Forge, and then there's some debate about the best way to do it, but I have pretty good luck by putting defaults in there as well. Now, from there, the dependencies, I've listed really the minimum that you need here. ArcGIS and ArcPy. Now this will work good, it'll work fine, and then what you will have is an environment that's identical to the one that ships with ArcGIS Pro. So this is good, you can now do this. But ultimately, the real value in this is being able to extend this environment to be able to add more stuff in here. And for instance, one of the ones that's handy to have happens to be a meta package rather, that is maintained by Esri that makes sure that you have all the right versions of all the different packages needed to be able to use the deep learning tools. And this is just simply called Deep Learning Essentials. And then from there, another really nice package that you can include is Node.js. Now, it's not because I plan on doing a tremendous amount of web development. You definitely can, it's up to you. However, the real reason why I always include this one happens to be I like using the mapping widget inside of Jupyter Lab. And to be able to use that, I need Node.js. Now, just to illustrate, there's a lot more things that we can put in here. I happen to use Cookie Cutter for all of my templating. So you can include that as another package here as well. So really from here, what we've done is we've taken a default environment, we've extended it a little bit, and now from here what we want to do is go ahead and build it. Now when we build this environment, we're going to use a command prompt. I'm not going to use the terminal that's included with Visual Studio Code because I want to open it as an administrator. And the reason I'm going to open it as an administrator, if I create the environment as an administrator, then what that enables me to do is update ArcGIS Pro without breaking my Conda environment. Specifically, all of the ArcPy functions will continue to work as normal. If you don't have the ability to run it as administrator, that's not the end of the world. It simply means that you'll have to reinstall the ArcPy package every time in all the environments you want to use whenever you update ArcGIS Pro. So there's a definite advantage, so I'm going to run it as administrator. Now, that said, we have this open, and we can look at what we have on the machine already. So we can just say, if I can type, conda env list. Looking at this, you can see there's not much on here. I cleaned off this machine to run this demonstration, so it's pretty well cleaned off. Notice that it says Anaconda 3, the location that I saved, and in this case I'm using Anaconda 3 because that's what I've been testing against for the last couple days. Now, when we look at this, I want to set up this new environment. I need to know where this environment YAML file is. It happens to be saved in my user profile on the desktop, so I can just go to where that is located. Whoops, I need to get that correct. The desktop, and then that's that Pro env. So if I look in there, notice there's my environment YAML file. From there, it's pretty easy for me to just, if I can actually type again, conda env create, and then I specify file, and then there's my environment YAML. From here, things are going to take a few minutes, and I'm going to make your life easier by fast forwarding it so you don't have to listen to it. Don't worry, it doesn't take too long. This usually takes 3 to 4 minutes, and then we're good. Alright, so it finished up running. We have our new environment created. So one thing I want to call out is one of these last messages that we got here, which is symbolically linked the ArcPy DLLs. This will keep your environment synced with the build automatically. This is important because what this means, it's telling us that we can update ArcGIS Pro Pi 3, or excuse me, ArcGIS Pro Pi. Okay, let me try that again. ArcGIS Pro, and it's not going to break our environment. This is because we have a command prompt open as the administrator. If we had not, this is where this message would be slightly different, saying that you're going to have to maintain this manually. Really all it means, if you update ArcGIS Pro, you will just simply have to reinstall the ArcPy package. Other than that, it's not that big a deal. It's not the end of the world. Your life's a lot easier, however, if you have this ability to run it and install this environment as the administrator. So if possible, I recommend it. Now, once we've got this set up, there's a couple of other things we can configure such that everything will be much more consistent when we're working on different projects. The first one is, I mentioned earlier that we installed Node.js so that we can have the mapping widget available in JupyterLab. However, there's one other step that we need to do in JupyterLab to get this set up. So what we can do is activate our new environment that is named ArcGIS, and we can now see that that environment is active because the name of the environment in parentheses is in front of our command prompt. So what we can do now is we can start up JupyterLab. Once this fires up, we look in here, you notice that I was playing with this earlier, so the extension manager tab is already open. If it starts up under the normal browser tab, you can go down here and say you want to work with the extension manager. Now, what we want to do is install first the JupyterLab manager. So we can go ahead and we can say we want to install that. And what it does is it downloads it and installs it in this environment. And you notice that it says a build is needed to include the latest changes. Don't click it quite yet, because what we need to do is we need to get the mapping widget as well. So we'll go ahead and search for ArcGIS, and what that's going to do is it says the ArcGIS map IPy widget. Go ahead and install that one as well. What this will do is it will enable the Esri mapping widget that comes along with the Python API to now be available whenever you're working in any Jupyter notebook within JupyterLab. This is really handy, and quite frankly, it's one of those that it is in the documentation, but I figured I'd show you right here to make your life a little easier. Now, that's going to finish installing, and I'm not going to sit here and make you watch that, but what I am, however, going to do is also show you how to jump into ArcGIS Pro and point Pro at the same new environment that you've just created. So what you're going to do is jump into Settings, and within the Settings, go to Python. This will take a second to load up. It wants to scan all the packages that are available before it shows this window to you. So we'll let this view load up. Now, once this shows up, it shows that the default environment that's installed with ArcGIS Pro is currently the active one, ArcGIS Pro Pi 3. Make your life a little bit easier, you want to use that same environment. Lo and behold, it's not showing up because we didn't install it using the version of Python that comes with Pro, but we can say that we want to include it. So we click on Add, and where this is located is in the D directory. I installed Anaconda 3, and with the environments folder, there is where our new environment lives, ArcGIS. So now I go ahead and click OK, and what this will do is this new environment now shows up. Lo and behold, we can now select it. We won't be able to use it. Notice it gives us the warning. We have to restart ArcGIS Pro for the changes to take effect. But now what we have is we have configured ArcGIS Pro to use our new environment. And we also, and notice that just to prove my point, for instance, that nifty package I really like using for template and cookie cutter, notice there it is. This wouldn't be available in the normal ArcGIS Pro Pi 3 environment, but lo and behold, there it is. We have it available now. So we've set up Pro so that it'll use our environment, and now we've also set up our Jupyter lab environment to where it'll have the mapping widget available to us. So in this short amount of time, what we've been able to do is set up a brand new Conda environment for Python using a standalone Conda, and then we've got it configured so it will work with our ArcGIS Pro installation as well. So hopefully this clears up a workflow to make your life a lot easier for working using Python as well as ArcGIS Pro together.